Now, I know everyone is 50-50 and don't know really how to feel about this new Thibs hire. But for the first time ever, I can say this, that we got a president and a coach operating in the same frequency. Now, Leon Rose, unlike past team presidents, doesn't have to waste a filler year keeping a coach from the previous regime, which is something that we haven't seen for a long time. Now, a key reason why everyone's so 50-50 and kind of iffy about this Thibs hiring is that we don't know exactly what Thibs has to work with right now. We're still building pieces on the team that can look more stable. Right now we have RJ Barrett, he's still a rookie. There's a lot of holes in his game. He's still got to work on that. He's very young. And Kevin Knox is up and down. Frank Ntilikina defensively, he tends to be a one-way player. So everyone right now is trying to figure out what Thibs is going to mold this team's identity around, especially offensively. When you look at one of our main offensive guys is Julius Randle, which long-term he might not be on the squad. And defensively, he's not a Thibodeau type of player. So off rip, a lot of the fan base is trying to figure out how does Thibs fit in all this and what direction are we taking? Are we sticking with the rebuild? Or are we going after free agents, especially for that 2021 summer class? Now, Thibs was able to get a 5-year deal, AKA in New York, that's a 3-year deal with 2 years paid vacation. Now, I keep asking myself, is the 5-year deal the new norm for head coaches around the league, especially guys that coach in major markets? But then again, when I start looking around the league, it's hard to tell because coaches, especially that just recently got signed, very few guys got 5-year deals. Look at Scott Brooks in Washington, he got a 5-year deal. Monty Williams in Phoenix got a 5-year deal. Billy Donovan out in OKC got a 5-year deal. Then again, you start looking at coaches at major markets like Mike D'Antoni in Houston, he only got a 3-year deal. Now, because of the fact that the Knicks gave Derek Fisher a 5-year contract, which basically set the precedent of what kind of deals coaches can get for being in New York, pretty much off rip, it seemed like Thibs was going to be the guy. I don't see the Knicks giving any other coaches right now a 5-year deal, especially when they can get a guy with a good reputation and especially a good resume around the league for that type of price. Now, I know there was a lot of rumblings around the city for people that wanted Mark Jackson to throw his name in the hat, but unfortunately right now around the league, Mark Jackson, like I said before, in the past, it's kind of shadow banned around the league, especially right now with the type of negative media coverage James Dolan gets. Mark Jackson is a little bit too hot to join the Knicks right now because for the comments he made in 2014, his religious views on the LGBT community, because of the hatred the media has on James Dolan, they'll come down on Mark Jackson with the quickness. So Mark Jackson is definitely going to coach again around the league, but right now just the temperature is just way too hot for him to get selected on any team around the league. Now, even though Mike Woodson and Mike Miller were candidates for the full-time job but didn't get the position, they still are candidates to be assistant coaches under Thibs. So we'll see how the Knicks end up shaping out these assistant coaches and what kind of identity they want to build around this team. Speaking of identity, we all know Thibs is known for his defense, but Thibs also has certain characteristics as a coach that will be very interesting to see how it affects some of the younger guys on the team. Now, Thibs has a history of giving his starters heavy minutes, and especially guys who don't make the starting 5, their minutes are going to get cut down from game to game. It's not going to be very consistent. So it'll be very interesting to see how Kevin Knox ends up dealing with this, because if he doesn't make the starting lineup, his minutes are going to be very up and down. Especially, he likes to be very inconsistent at times. That's not going to fare well with Thibs. And players like Frank Ntilikina who love to play defense, will Thibs end up playing him more? And guys like Dennis Smith Jr., if he doesn't improve on his defense or his jump shot, will he become eventually a non-factor in just the overall lineup on the team? And a player who had a characteristic sort of like Dennis Smith Jr. was Alonzo Trier, and it made sense why they got rid of him now that they chose Thibs to be the coach. A guy like Trier who just shoots, doesn't really play team-oriented basketball, who's pretty much just an ISO guy, is not going to fit in with Thibs well. Now, a negative knock on Thibs is that his relationship one-on-one with the players is not really that strong. There was a lot of guys in Minnesota where he cut their minutes and it didn't fare too well with the players and there was no explanation. So especially guys who don't make the starting lineup on this team, like Dennis Smith Jr., Kevin Knox, maybe Frank Ntilikina at times, hopefully there's going to be a relationship barrier where things get explained of why guys' minutes are getting cut, because Thibs has a major reputation of just doing things without even talking to guys. With this generation of players today, they have an expectation of a coach having a more one-on-one heads-up relationship with them. So it's not implied, it's actually expected. So hopefully this is something that Thibs can adjust to.